Today on the Frontline Health Podcast.
So we know as men get older, typically testosterone levels go down a little bit lower, but this will help actually increase that free testosterone level within your body naturally. The second one is physical performance. We know that based on the studies that it's going to help those athletes and fitness people actually have more endurance, they're going to have greater strength, and they're going to have more fat loss. The third thing that they've had some clinical trials on is they have shown that it had benefit to libido, to ED, and to sperm quality. And the final one is really kind of key, especially in our day and age, who doesn't have some stress in their life, is they've shown that it helps reduce stress, and it does that by balancing those cortisol levels that we all have, and it kind of helps us to manage stress and really improve mood based on the studies that they did that with.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on today's episode of the Frontline Health Podcast by Centurion, where we share health news, tips, and insights to help you take ownership of your health and your life. My name is Evan Patrick. With me is our founder and CEO, Troy Duell. How are you doing today, Troy?
Good, Evan. How are you?
I'm doing great. Today we're going to be exploring a unique ingredient that has been used for thousands of years in Malaysia.
Yeah, it's called Tongkat Ali, and it has, behind this Tongkat Ali, they've created a clinically backed, scientifically proven extract called LJ100. So super excited about kind of discussing that and jumping into the details.
Yeah, absolutely. Another perfect example of an ingredient that has been used traditionally for thousands of years by people, and we're able to actually measure the effects of it today. So happy to jump in and to explore these benefits and why it's making waves in the natural health and supplement industry.
Absolutely. And the I guess the scientific name behind Tongkat Ali, although I would much prefer to call it Tongkat Ali, is Eurycoma longifolia. A mouthful for sure, but basically it's a plant. Can you say
that 5 times fast?
No, I can't. But it is a plant that is found native to the rainforest of Malaysia, and they have used it for, you mentioned it, hundreds to thousands of years medicinally in Malaysia and other parts of Asia. And one of the things that they also call that is Ali's walking stick, because it was such a natural booster for men specifically in their energy levels and vitality.
So what makes, you mentioned LJ100, which is the clinically studied extract of Longjack Tongkat Ali. What makes it special compared to other Tongkat Ali supplements?
I think a great question, and where the difference comes in is really the consistency of the Tongkat Ali that is inside of it. It's not only the fact that they've studied it, they've standardized how to pull it out of those plants, and when they've done that, they've created and made sure that there are a certain number of bioactive compounds out of that Tongkat Ali that's actually getting into the LJ100. And the two compounds that they like to claim coming out of that is the glycosaponins and the urapeptides. We're coming with a lot of big words today that I can't pronounce and struggle. But that's really the main difference between LJ100 and a lot of the other products out there. And the fact that it was really a collaboration between MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and the Malaysian government to come up with this compound, which is kind of very, very interesting and cool that they've done that.
That is interesting. And can you explain for a minute for our listeners who may not know, you said that those ingredients that are extracted are bioactive ingredients. Can you just touch on that for just a second?
Yeah, so the bioactive compounds just mean that whatever they're taking out, that is what actually is the benefit in those plants that they're pulling it from. So in this case, Tongkat Ali, the longifloria word that we used earlier, it's those two components, those compounds, that really create the benefit and the need that you're wanting to get out of those plants. And they've pulled the Tongkat Ali, and they've gotten those two components at a higher level to get a better benefit and better bang for your buck.
Okay, and so those bioactive compounds that you mentioned, the glycosaponins and the urapeptides, what exactly are those?
Like we discussed, they're naturally forming compounds that are found in a lot of plants. So that's what your glycosaponins are. But the uripeptides are just an amino acid. We know that amino acids are in all kinds of things, and that's what that last bit of that uripeptide is all about. Peptide usually means that you're going to have some amino acid there, and it's going to be beneficial for your body. And we know that those two things work together with the Tongkat Ali to really bring about the benefits that we've been discussing.
So let's talk about the benefits of LJ100 that it can bring and some of the science behind it. So what are some of the key areas or key benefits that have been studied related to LJ100?
There are a lot of areas that it's been studied with, but I think 4 in particular that there has some strong science behind is, number 1, testosterone support. So we know as men get older, typically testosterone levels go down a little bit lower, but this will help actually increase that free testosterone level within your body naturally, and you don't have to take synthetic hormones. So the studies have actually shown that to be the case. Amazing. The second one is physical performance. We know that based on the studies with Longjack, Tongkat Ali, that it's going to help those athletes and fitness people actually have more endurance. They're going to have greater strength, and they're going to have more fat loss. So who doesn't want more fat loss in their life? The third thing that they've had some clinical trials on is they have shown that it had benefit to libido, to ED, and to sperm quality. So those are 3 things that you can chalk up to clinical benefits as well. And the final one is really kind of key, especially in our day and age. Who doesn't have some stress in their life? Is they've shown that it helps reduce stress, and it does that by balancing those cortisol levels that we all have, and it kind of helps us to manage stress and really improve mood based on the studies that they did that with.
Yeah, that's a lot of benefits right there, Troy. And one thing that stood out to me is all of these things are kind of linked to the increased testosterone production, testosterone, the energy production, overall health. It just seems like there are a lot of great benefits with LJ100.
Absolutely. And the fact that it increases our free levels of testosterone within our bodies, we know it's only going to help benefit every man that takes it. But the amazing thing is we know it's going to decrease fatigue levels. It's going to increase strength, decrease that muscle loss that typically happens when we lose testosterone. And it's going to help minimize those mood swings that we have and kind of keep us even keel.
And it's not just for men, right? There is research supporting its use for women for energy, muscle strength, and hormonal balance.
Absolutely. It's completely safe for men and women, and we know that it does help support those energy levels and overall well-being.
So one of the most fascinating things that you touched on earlier that I think many of our listeners might find interesting is the athletic benefits, the benefits in athletic performance related to LJ100. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, specifically, there was one study where they took male athletes who took the LJ100, and they found that there was a 16.4% increase in their testosterone level and a 32.3% reduction in their cortisol levels. So they increased testosterone, decreased cortisol, which means that they got stronger, but they didn't have as much stress, they didn't have as much anxiety about it, and it turned out that it was a huge game changer because they were able to recover quicker and they were able to work out longer.
Yeah, and that's really the name of the game when it comes to improving athletic performance. And in strength training, participants using LJ100 saw an increase in muscle size, fat-free mass, and just overall strength.
That's right. And it also helped kind of maintain that hormonal balance so those athletes could train harder without that excessive fatigue or burnout.
That's great. Now, we also know LJ100 is great for weight management and stress control, as you kind of touched on just a second ago. Weight management is something that's a huge concern for many people. We've talked about other natural alternatives on this show for helping people kind of manage their weight without turning to pharmaceuticals or just maybe some things that aren't good for their overall health, even though they might accomplish the goal of weight loss. So how could LJ100 play a role here when it comes to weight loss and stress control?
One of the things we touched on earlier was it helps regulate the cortisol, and we know that cortisol is one of those hormones that's actually responsible for weight gain. So the more cortisol we have, the higher the weight that we put on, or the more weight we put on. And they found cortisol specifically is right around the midsection. So men gathered around the belly, down lower, women would too when you're talking about higher cortisol levels. So this will help reduce those cortisol levels and kind of regulate it overall.
And cortisol is also tied to stress, is that correct?
It is. So we know that stress is one of the biggest components to kind of help produce cortisol in the body. So if you can level out your hormones, then typically it's going to help reduce the stress that comes along with it.
So basically, lower cortisol means better fat metabolism and less stress-induced eating?
That is absolutely right. And there was one study that they showed specifically with LJ100 where individuals lost about 6 pounds in 6 weeks without changing anything really in their lifestyle. So they were still doing the same workouts, they were still eating the same, and they still ended up losing 6 pounds because those cortisol levels were better regulated and reduced.
Yeah, that's very impressive. So unlike maybe some other treatments that somebody would turn to increase their testosterone levels, there are a lot of other health benefits besides just the testosterone increase.
Absolutely. And I think that is the key and the beauty of this product, LJ100, and what it can do for individuals.
So to wrap things up, LJ100 is a science-backed, highly effective natural ingredient with benefits ranging from testosterone support to stress management. It's been clinically tested to help with energy, athletic performance, weight management, and overall well-being.
Absolutely, and I think you summed it up well. This is a product that can help pretty much anybody, from an athlete to an aging adult. If you're looking to increase your testosterone levels, reduce your cortisol levels, LJ100 could be a great option for you to at least try and see.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Frontline Health Podcast by Centurion. We hope that it has been a blessing to you. As always, we encourage you to go out and take ownership of your health today because you are your best health advocate. If you enjoyed what you heard today on the podcast, please consider subscribing and leaving us a review. We would love to hear your comments or questions about anything we've talked about on the show. For more health news, tips, and insights, follow us at Centurion Health on Instagram, Facebook, X, and YouTube. And for safe, effective, and affordable healthcare products made in the USA to help you elevate your health and life, visit Centurion.health. We look forward to you joining us next time on the Frontline Health Podcast by Centurion.